Hey guys, this is going to be a short little video. I didn't video the entire process on this one because, to be honest with you, this is my first one that had this problem. I'm still kind of cutting my teeth on the 6.7s. I've done quite a bit to them now. I've done turbos and I've had quite a few of them now. I've done like 3 or 4 of them that the exhaust manifolds will break in the valley there. This is my first high pressure pump that has completely failed and shot metal everywhere. Well, and I wasn't aware of it. To be honest with you, I wasn't aware of the metal contamination problem they were having with these things. And like the Dodges with cp4 Bosch pumps, you never really have any troubles with them. Those cp4 Bosch pumps are pretty flawless, really. I mean, I don't think I've seen guys change them that didn't need to change them, thinking they had a problem when they had an injector that was returning too much fuel. But let's start out. I just wanted to make a short video because I had quite a few guys asking me about this, and I already got the injectors in. I've already started this thing. So from the very beginning, the guy brought it to me and no start, and I don't know. He's got a buddy somewhere else, I think, that's a Ford mechanic or something, and he got the codes out, and I think they diagnosed it over the phone. Anyways, they determined the high-pressure pump went out in it. So he brought it to me to do the job to change the high-pressure pump. And he had the pump. He said, I got the pump and everything. I said, okay, well, that'll be easy. You don't have to get the parts, and we'll just do the job, you know. And anyways, I'll just go over with you. The next one I do, I'll completely promise you I'll go over the entire process now that I know what the hell I'm doing. Okay, so, and this wasn't really that bad. I mean, it really wasn't. So pull the upper intake, pull the lower intake. That's pretty simple, pulling the upper and lower intakes. Let me climb up here. They got an iron cross bumper on this thing, and it's climbing around this son of a bitch to get anywhere. Anyway, if you guys have done the, I'm trying to think, what's that guy's name? He's the Ford tech. I can't say his name. It starts with the M. Makaluka or something like that. He's got a video on pulling the upper intake. Really good video. But the upper intake's probably the hardest thing about the whole thing is getting it past this spot. You got to kind of pop it and jerk it out of there. But it's not too bad, really. There's some bolts back here. Get you a 1/4 inch drive ratchet and some, 6-inch and a 3-inch extension, like 9-inch extension or whatever with a universal and 10mm socket, and get those bolts back there out. Get you a magnet and pull them out. And pull the upper intake, pull the lower intake. The high pressure pump is, well, it's down here underneath. At least they got smart. Ford finally got smart and put the son of a gun running off the front timing cover instead of International, like the 6.4 and the 6.0 running the pumps off the back. I thought that was stupid. Run them off the front. International did that on the 7.3s. They had the high pressure oil pump running off the front timing cover, but they changed it all around on the 6.0, and then the 6.4 was running their high pressure fuel pump off the back too. I didn't really care for that. The 6.7s I've noticed so far, though, you can do most of the work with the cab on. You rarely have to pull the cab off. So that's one good thing that they changed about it. But anyways, that pump, pull this EGR tube coming from the coolers to the, I call it the EGR crossover line, coming to the intake. Pull that off, and there's a couple, I think throttle actuator or some damn thing. There's a couple wires to your vacuum harness. Unplug it, pull the lower intake off, and then once you get down in there, I think there's the pump down in there we changed. Okay, and that pump is timed. Okay, that pump is timed. So there's I think, I can't remember, you can look it up, that it's easy to figure out. I mean, we just pulled it out, and I seen the timing mark on the gear. I think it had a 1 dash mark, and I said, well, there's got to be a timing mark on that other gear. So I just rolled the crank around till the 2 marks on that gear showed up, and then I timed it. So, okay, so when we first got the pickup, I had to verify the complaint. So I cranked on it. All I could get was 200 PSI out of the cranking on it. And I did. I checked everything. I checked the low pressure fuel system supply pressure. The thing that a lot of guys that go wrong, they get the filter on the underneath the chassis here. They get that filter all screwed up and get the O-ring pinched, or they don't get it tight enough. I checked all that. I even took a 5-gallon bucket full of clean fuel, and I jerry-rigged a darn hose straight from the filter. I was bypassing the tank because I thought, let's make sure that we don't have a pickup tube or something in the tank sucking air or something, maybe something's in the tank coming up against it. Let's cross all our T's here. And anyways, I sucked right out of a bucket, still wouldn't start. Anyways, went through all that whole rigmarole, and then I thought, well, it's got to be that high pressure pump. So then I pulled this upper and lower intake, and there's a plug on that pump you can pull off, and there's a screen in there, and that screen had metal in it. So I said, well, without a doubt, it's the pump. And I didn't know about the contamination. I really didn't. I should have, to be honest with you. It's really kind of a screw up on my part, because I used to do a lot of C9 8-cert cat motors on Challengers, and those Huey pumps would do the same exact thing. They would go out and they would shoot metal into the rail and just destroy the injectors, and you just had to pull the end plugs out of the rail on the cats because they're incorporated into the cylinder head, and you flushed the rails out and you replaced all the injectors and ran the overhead and replaced the Huey pump, and you're good till it blew up again. Well, this is kind of the same way. That cp4 Bosch pump goes to hell. Change them all. Now, Ford and Oregon Fuel Injection were telling me they changed the rails and the fuel lines and everything. And I told my customer, I got the rails off. I don't see no reason to change those. I said, you can look right in there and it's pretty clean shot. Brake clean and pull the end plugs, the end caps out of the rail. I flushed the living hell out of them. I mean, every port I blew through 20 times, back and forth in the rails, brake clean. I didn't get anything out of them, really. I think they were all in the injectors because, okay, so long story short, well, maybe not so short. Before I even pulled the rails or nothing, I tried to start it with the new pump on there. And I had my Autel 906 scanner on there, and I was getting 1,800 PSI. It takes about 4,000 to start. And I thought, well, what the hell, And then then it dawned on me. I said, I've got an injectors. I've probably got some metal in the piezo stacks on those injectors, and they're returning too much fuel and not building pressure. So another thing you want to check before you even do that. Okay, you know how Dodge and most every other manufacturer, John Deere, uses on their high pressure common rails. They'll use, basically it's just a high pressure relief valve. And they'll just have a relief valve on the rail that when that relief valve lifts, and there'll be a line hooked to it with a banjo bolt that usually just goes back to the return side of the fuel system. Well, Ford has got, if you look back in here, okay, somehow they're using, this one's electronically controlled relief valve. It's a pressure control valve is what Ford calls it. Let me dim my light. Maybe you can see better with it dimmed. But back in there is the valve. You'll see the electrical plug-in. The fitting right there with the green line, the green clip, that's the return. Okay, so if that pressure control valve's bad and you had a crank no start, pull that line off. You're supposed to return the fuel in the receptacle and all that. I just pulled the son of a bitch off and stuck a bucket underneath the pickup there. I was no way to hook onto it anywhere. And I ran a hose off of this into the bucket, and I cranked on it, and I didn't have any fuel coming out of there. I had fuel coming the other way because this is a pressurized return fuel system when the key's on and the lift pump's running. So I even did something else. Well, I thought, I could probably unplug the lift pump, and I thought, no, I'm just going to have to let it go or something. I don't know any way. I don't have it's a special plastic fitting. I mean, how the hell are you going to cap it? So, anyways, I just let it go, make a mess, and anyways, I didn't have any fuel coming out of the pressure control valve, so I knew that my pressure control valve was right. And over here, this sensor right here, that's your rail pressure sensor right there. So anyways, ended up pulling the return lines off the injectors, and these return line clips. Okay, these are goofy little bastards here. I think everything on these 6 of them is goofy. But you just grab these return line fittings here. And see how that comes up? I don't know if you can see that. That'll just come up. That locks it on there. And just pop them off. I just popped them off one at a time and hooked a hose onto them and cranked on it. And actually I didn't get anything, so then I pulled the hose off and just looked at them one at a time and cranked on them. And I had 2 on this bank. I think the second one, let's see, it'd be number, let's see, 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, be 4, and number 6. I had number 4 and number 6 were probably a pretty good, just a stream coming out of there. And then I had 3 on this bank doing it. The back 3 were all squirting quite a bit of fuel out there, and the other ones were hardly nothing. Nothing was coming out of them cranking. And I said, shit, they got to be screwed up. I mean, just at just cranking, and they're pushing that much fuel out. So I talked to the owners, and we determined that, you know, I told him, I said, you know, I don't see why you can't flush those. I said, Oregon Fuel Injection, we bought the injectors from them, and they come with the new fuel lines, and the seal kit comes with all new fuel lines. All those are all new. All the lines going from the rails to the injectors are all new. The only ones that aren't new are the ones coming from the pump that feeds the rails and the return line. But all the rest of those lines are new. So I said, I don't see why. So what I did on this rail here, I put it in the vise, clamped it down. I took the pressure control valve out. I cleaned it up. I took the rail pressure sensor out, cleaned it up, and then I blew through the entire rail. I had all the lines off, and I did the same thing over here. And I'll show you on that other rail. You'll have to get, if you don't already have some. And I know Volkswagen uses a bunch of this garbage type fittings on their stuff. So obviously a German thing, because this is a Bosch fuel system. And I remember working on a Volkswagen for a lady one time, because my wife talked me into working on a car, which I hate working on cars. I got a whole bunch of them in here. Let's get over here in the light. But on those rail end plugs, get you a set of these things. I don't even know what the hell they're called. Square drives or something. Are they called square drives? What the hell are those things? Piece of shit. Anyway, I went and bought some of those things. And then you pull the end plugs out of the rails and just blow them out and clean them out. I didn't get anything out of them. And then anyway, so blow them out, clean them out. Get your injectors, so your T50 Torx. Take the injector hold downs out, get your injector coil plugs off, pull all your return lines off, and that's, you know, pull your lines and all your rails first. And then what I did, kind of hard to see, but the injector hold down's got a little foot on it right there. You can see that foot. Let me get this light situated. There's the foot right there. I left the bolt. I backed it out. That bolt's about, well, shit, they're over here. Here's the bolts that come out of that. And that kit, that seal kit, comes with new bolts too, because these are torque to yield. So I backed that bolt out about that far. I'm sure there's a special tool like there is for every damn thing. I just backed it out about that far to where the foot would not slide out from underneath the 2 notches in the injector. I just took a bar and just popped them out of there. Shit, it was easy. So, and then I unthreaded it the rest of the way and pulled the injector out. So anyway, the injectors come with the coppers already on them. There's 1 O-ring on the injector, and they go in easy. I just pushed them in, and they go all the way down till they seat by hand. And then just put the foot on there and put the new bolt in it, and then that's where I use that torque angle, snap-on torque angle electronic torque wrench. They're 22 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees on all of them. So you do 22 foot-pounds, torque it 22 foot-pounds, and then you go 90 degrees past. And then basically reversal of disassemble, put your rails and lines and all that shit back on there, and I put the batteries in it, and it started right up. So, anyways, I'll show it to you here running, so the internet people don't think I'm a liar. So, be back shortly. Hopefully that helps a couple guys that were asking me about this, you know. And I didn't really want to make a video because I was kind of cutting my teeth on this whole job, you know, and it was the first one I'd done the major work to like this. I'm just like the other guy that commented. I've done a ton of 6.4s and 6.0s, but these 6.7s, I'm still kind of learning the ins and outs. And to be honest with you, there isn't much different about a high-pressure common rail fuel system than there is on anything else. And Bosch is the same guy. They're the same outfit that's making it for that Dodge sitting right over there. And more than likely, that's probably what's wrong with that pickup over there. We're going to be working on that one real shortly, too. I'm got a feeling it's probably got an injector returning too much fuel on it too. It's not a no start, but it keeps throwing a 1222 and a 1223 code and putting him into limp mode. So I got a feeling he's either got injector tubes or not torqued right, or he's got an injector that's returning a little bit too much. And with the new updated Chrysler Flash, it really is finicky, really finicky. So, anyways, that'll be another video. But I'm going to go ahead and try to get most of this thing back together and get it running so he can come get this thing and get out of my hair. So, okay, got the passenger side all together. A lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff on these things. I got a question for you guys. I don't recall I've worked on a lot of 6.7s, but I don't recall this upper radiator hose. Holy shit. Is that what I'm seeing there? Is that... What am I seeing here, man? Okay. I thought it was clear through it there for a second. Holy shit. There's no way, because I drained water out of it. Anyway, is that supposed to be flat like that? Collapsed and flat? I mean, it's flatter than a pancake. I can't imagine that being right. You guys that have one or work on them all the time, is that thing supposed to be laying flat? I can't imagine water circulating through that thing right. It's just flatter than hell. Whatever. Anyways, I'm going to progress on with this and get this side together and start it and pull it out of the shop. Okay, guys, another thing I will mention after you get everything together, just cycle the key 5 or 6 times, which I already did that yesterday when I had it started. Oh, come on, scanner. It's trying to establish communication, and it's kicking the pump on and off and making the dash go crazy. All right. And then go to control unit. We'll go to the PCM. Live data. Look at our rail pressure. Check coolant additive. Yeah, I cleared that on Russell's pickup too. It's going to throw a coolant light. I don't have any coolant in it, but I'll do that tomorrow morning. Basically, all I got left is the left front inner fender, but it's about 8 o'clock at... Well, let's see, wait. 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock at night. I want to get the hell out of here and go home. Fuel rail pressure should be fuel pressure control valve. That's where you can look at your duty cycle and your current on that. Fuel rail pressure says 147 psi right now. And then what I want to do, what I should have done is I forgot all about it, is I want to erase codes and then see if anything comes right back immediately. Then I forgot to plug in, or let's go back to live data. Okay. Go back to fuel pressure. Fuel rail pressure. Okay. Where's the actual pressure at? Right there. Let's see what happens here. Started yesterday, but now it's not wanting to start again. What the hell? I started it yesterday. Cycled the key about 6 times and it fired right up. There it goes. A little air in the system still, obviously. Why does it feel like it's missing? Do I not have an injector plugged in? The wrench light's on. Oh shit. I bet I got an injector not plugged in all the way. Let's see which one it is. What am I doing here? God dang it, dummy. Come on. Starting to smooth out now. Come on, man. Wake up. Yeah, it's smoothed out now. Now it's fine. Charge air cooler, temperature sensor, circuit, reductant heater, A. Well, that's nothing I did. He's got to fix that. Charger, cooler, temperature sensor, circuit open, reductant heater, A, control circuit open. Yeah, he's got to fix that. He's got a heater in his reductant tank. I've changed a bunch of those. Charger, cooler, temperature sensor, circuit bank 1. Must have had some air in the system. It sure was running rough for a minute. Now it's smoothed right out. Charge air cooler temperature sensor circuit bank 1. And that be our charge air cooler temperature. Where's my stool at? What did I forget to plug in? Oh. Charge air cooler temperature sensor bank 1. Is there one on the bottom? I bet there's one on the bottom I didn't plug in, I bet. Oh, let me get that. Maybe it's a lucky thing I didn't put that inner fender in yet. Oh yeah, there it is. Where the hell's that son of a bitch plugging at? I don't remember. There it is. I don't even remember unplugging that, to be honest with you. I gotta find out where it plugs in. Where is the electrical connector for that at? Well, right here somewhere. Ah, right there. I see it. It was on the cack hose. I wonder if I can reach it to the bottom. Plug that in, clear that, and then I'm gonna shut it off. Damn it. My hand is in there. Let's see what it... Okay, now I'll see if I can get this thing plugged in. That pulley was pretty close to that, and I was like, I don't know if I want to get my hand up in there. Okay, where'd it go? I thought I had the wire stuffed up in here where I could grab it from the bottom, but I don't see it now. Where the hell did it go? All that shit's smoking in there. The exhaust manifolds are wet with fuel and... God, I can't get my hands up in there anywhere. Well, let me get this plugged in, I'll be back. Okay, so we got that thing on there. Let's turn the key back on. Let's clear the codes. We know the reductant heater A is going to come right back. You know that's going to happen. But as long as I don't have any other fuel-related codes, I'll be happy. Okay. Reduced engine power. Okay. Is that because of the reductant heater? Or do we got something else going on? Reduced engine power. Come on, any day now. Sounds fine. Fuel rail system pressure too high. Why would it be too high? Well, hello guys. This 6.7's been quite a go around. I've learned a lot on this. I'll tell you what, if you guys are going to do one of these and you have one of those cp4 pumps fail, this is my first one, that's why I didn't video it. I was, you know, a novice at the whole changing the pump and doing the injectors, no problem. I didn't, my problem with this whole thing, I didn't realize that it contaminated everything so bad. I mean, just so bad. So here's what's happened thus far. As you can see, we have reductant heater A control circuit open. That's something that was, you know, wrong before it showed up. Well, you know, we didn't do anything with that. So anyway, I came in the next day after I had it, after I first got it started, to wrap things up. And anyway, my phone's going off, sorry. But anyway, it threw up a P088 high rail pressure code, and then a P828 or 288F, I think it was. Couldn't learn the pressure control valve or something like that. And I thought, what the hell's going on? And it was you could get in the live data, and what it would do is when it first started, you could put the commanded versus the well, I'll just show you. Let's clear these. It's gonna come right back. But go into the live data, and what it would do is the command would be like 4,400, and it would go up to like 10 or 11,000 and come back down eventually, and then go into limp mode, into reduced power. And I thought, what in the hell? Well, long story short, there was still shit floating around in the fuel system, and man, I was nervous as hell then. So I pulled that pressure control valve out. I went and got a new one. And another thing that was going on was the rail pressure sensor was reading 200 psi, key on, engine off. And the lift pump don't even put out that much pressure. I think it puts out 53 psi. So I said, that's not right either. So I went and got a rail pressure sensor and a pressure control valve. Let's put commanded. Commanded rail pressure. Let's get them up here at the top where we can look at both of them. I don't know why they wouldn't have those right next to... Okay, there's... Put them at the top. Okay. Now you can see those. So I have a smudge on my screen. I have a big fingerprint on it. Okay. So, anyway. We would climb clear up and then go back down. Anyway, so what I ended up doing, I went and got the new valve, new rail pressure sensor. And I pulled it out in the gravel, and I got two big buckets of pans, drain pans, and I pulled the end plugs out of the rails, and I just turned the key on and let the fuel pump just run and just flush the thing out. And so I put them back in there. So then I went and pulled the filters, changed the filters for the second time. And now what we're gonna do, he's got a fast fuel system. We're gonna put a fast fuel system on it as well. But I drove it I probably drove it like 60 miles today, and started it and stopped it 100 times. So far, so good. Hopefully I dodged a bullet. I'm just scared to death that I'm gonna ruin, you know, a pump and new injectors. Hopefully not. I mean, I've driven it quite a bit and started it and stopped it. As you can see now, our reductant heater code will come back when we cycle the key, but see how that rail pressure reads 0 now? That's what it's supposed to do. Let's see what this thing does now. Come on, don't let me down. Okay, that's right. That's what it's supposed to do. You seen it kind of come out and spike up at 6,000 while the valve was, you know, couldn't react quick enough. But yesterday it would go clear up to 10 or 11,000, just hang there, and then it would eventually finally come down. That was that valve. That was shit getting in the end of that pressure control valve on the rail, and then it was sticking. So you know, darn. Lesson learned. If you're gonna do one of these, lesson learned. If you're gonna do one of these, I mean, I flushed the rails and everything too. I mean, I pulled the end plugs, flushed them with brake clean. I probably spent an hour blowing through them. Fuck it, man. Change the rails. All the lines came with the pump from the rails to the injectors, so I didn't mess around. You know, I put all those on, but I should have changed the lines going from the pump to the rails too. I mean, I blew through them, but I just, you know, something that's running, you know, this high of pressure. See how the actual is matching the desired and everything now. Let's shut it off and start it one more time. Let's check our codes one more time. So now what we're gonna do is drop the tank on it, and because that fast fuel system, I think you have to drop the tank to put it in. And you know, and I talked to the owner, and I told him the truth, man. I said, I just didn't know they had this kind of contamination problem. I didn't know. You know, he says, I'm scared as hell this thing's gonna go to shit on us now. And he said, well, he says, I'm not pissed at you. He said, I've got a buddy down there, that's all he does is work on these. He's the one that sent me the new cp4 pump, and he didn't say shit about all this contamination. He says, I'm a little bit PO'd at him for not making me a little aware of this situation. He says that's all he does is work on these Ford pickups. He's a Ford tech. So you would think he would have said something to him about it. So Ford makes a parts kit for these. It's relatively, they actually reduced the price on their parts because of Ford knows they've got a big problem here. And I don't think there's typical manufacturer, some of that shit they ought to be recalling this kind of shit here. You know, Ford, it's a $9,000 or $10,000 fix through Ford to have this done. You know, that's bullshit. This pickup's got 116,000 miles on it. You paid $70,000 for this pile of shit, and it's got 116,000, and you got to put 10,000 in it into the fuel system? Come on now. I would be so livid I probably wouldn't be able to see straight. I'd probably go park it up the dealer and drive it right through their fucking window. Okay, our reductant heater A control circuit open. So yeah, maybe we dodged a bullet here. I've talked to the owner and we flushed and so far so good. We'll see what happens. Hopefully the little bit that I did run, it didn't damage the pump or an injector. I mean, it fires right up. It has good pressure. So hopefully learn from me, guys. If you're gonna do it, do everything. Pull the tank, flush the lines from the tank to the filter head, from the filter head flush the return line, change the filters, change the rails, change the injectors, change the fuel lines from the injectors to the rails, change the fuel lines from the pump to the rails, and change the pump.